Welcome out to another episode of It's All Been Tricked Before. This time, Threshold, Voyager Threshold on It's All Been Tricked Before. You're on the threshold of greatness. How do you get there? Become a Patreon member. Follow us on Patreon, patreon.com/IABD. Get all the extra bonus episodes. See us on video. See those facial expressions. Get extra stuff there too. Find out what this team does. You get a little BTS there, behind the scenes, what they call that. Patreon.com/IABD. Don't cost much neither. Just like listen to the rest of this episode. Voyager, Threshold, It's All Been Tricked Before.
Welcome out to another episode of It's All Been Trekked Before. Your skeleton crew is here.
This is Steven.
Olivia James. We're here to talk about the seminal Star Trek Voyager episode, Threshold. First impressions.
It is a weird episode. It is a funky episode. I didn't realize how storied it was, I guess, until... I could have guessed that it was.
I assume you mean because it won the Emmy for makeup.
Exactly, yeah, which I just learned. And I just learned there's a thing called Threshold Day. I don't know if you knew that. Yeah. Every year on January 29th, I think, Threshold Day is celebrated. And that's the day it premiered back in 1996. I think that's where we are. Yeah.
I was days old when I learned that information.
So I was looking up, I was bringing up the transcript or whatever, and there was a meme that's essentially Bill Murray and Groundhog Day, and it just says it's Threshold Day again. I'm like, tell me more about this. So some people actually do, and just to get to my first impression, not everybody else's long-lasting impression, which sounds like it's changed a little bit over time for some people, but not for others. Yeah, super weird. Lots to talk about, I think. Although I don't have a million notes or anything. Just what a weird episode. It gets into the horror stuff that we've talked about, kind of aspects. And a lot of makeup. And I can see why it won Best Makeup, because I think I wrote down a couple times I really liked it. But yeah, what a weird ending. It's quite the journey. I'll just stop there.
I'm pretty sure I saw it back in the day. It didn't stick with me super well, other than, of course, that super bizarre ending with the salamanders, and then the babies, which is not a scene that I look back on favorably. However, I liked this episode. I admit that there was some stuff towards the end that was weird and but honestly, the more as I was watching it, before we got to the salamanders mating, I was 3/4 of the way through it, and I was like, I am really liking this episode. So
I might have been with you, maybe not quite that far, but for a while I was like, okay. And I'm, obviously I'm a Paris fan. I thought it was interesting. The warp stuff was interesting and all that. But then, and then just processing the end. So, I think it's just really weird. And then some of these people are like, it's the worst episode of Voyager. Others are, it's the worst episode of Trek, period. Which I don't feel that way.
Long shot.
I don't think so.
It's the worst episode of Voyager this season. So, slight spoiler for the ranking. I'm not saying where it goes. I'm just saying I don't think it belongs at the very bottom.
I don't know if I feel that way either. Yeah. So I don't know if I can say I like it, but I can say there's parts of it I did. I was into it. I wouldn't have guessed it was the worst episode, but I could see it setting people off. I could see that for sure.
Coming straight out of it, I think overall it was a good episode.
All right.
We'll see as we do. I took way more notes on both of these episodes this week and next week than I usually do. Unfortunately, I was trying not to. It just did. But we start out in this episode with Paris in a shuttle exceeding warp 9, and it starts to break up. At any point did you think how far into the scene were you before you realized holodeck and not reality?
You know what? I was willing to believe that they were actually testing it. And I thought we were just going to essentially jump to the part that we get to when they actually test it, which is kind of that, Kirk disappeared kind of thing. And now he's going to come back in a different form, which we kind of ended up doing. So in some ways familiar in that sense. But yeah, I did not catch on. Well, I knew he wasn't going to die, but I did not catch on that it was. And and I'm the one who says, oh yeah, you should always be able to tell right away that it's a But I actually I bought into it. So you got me, Voyager.
How bothered were you by the whole like we can't exceed warp 10? Warp 10's infinite.
Right. And I didn't really get my head around that very well either. That whole
So
concept. So
So I had heard this information before, but I did refresh my memory right after watching. And the original series, while the Enterprise exceeded Warp 10 on several occasions, in
mhm.
the Next Generation era, they say that the warp scale was redrawn with 10 being
Okay.
max in the infinite. And so what was Warp 5 in the original series is different than
Yeah.
Warp 5 in Next Gen on. The piece of information that contradicts that is in the Next Generation finale, All Good Things, where Captain Crusher says they're going to warp 13. And the
Okay.
explanation that Trek fans give for that is, oh, well, that was just an alternate timeline that never happened. So maybe they reverted or did another scale altogether again. Which to me sounds real hokey because if you finally like changed it, it doesn't seem like
Yeah.
you'd change it back. So I don't know. But yeah, the whole having a maximum warp of 10 and like saying that's infinite makes sense to a certain extent. I guess if you can really
Yeah.
calculate that there's a point in speed where it goes infinite, but it also seems a little arbitrary and
Yeah. And actually what you everything you just explained about, the way they went through, I wrote down the Spinal Tap thing. Why not make nine higher? So it sounds like that's what they did. They just made nine higher or lower so that 10 seemed higher or whatever. Yeah, and actually, I did write down that it's believable mumbo jumbo. So throughout this episode, even when we get into the weird stuff, it seems believable. If you go to the Wikipedia page for this episode, there's interest. They get into the some real actual scientists got into the actual evolution and how that would work and how they thought it would work. And then and this same guy wrote up a research paper based on this episode, submitted it to 10 open access journals known or suspected of charging fees without providing services such as peer review and vetting of the paper's claims. Four of them accepted the paper, and one actually
mm,
published it. So that's one I invite you to go into but they don't get into the warp 10. That's at least not in the in this section. But yeah, so I thought that was interesting too. But and I think the whole infinite and yada yada, are immediately they're talking about, well, maybe we can get home this way. And I just wrote, we've got another Gilligan's Island setup of maybe this is what's going to get us home. And I knew for sure that was not going to work out, or at least not yet.
true. You'll never know. You never know until we get there. I also thought it was interesting they mentioned transwarp, which in this episode is just used to mean like you're going faster than warp 9, I guess.
Yeah.
So the type of drive. I don't remember exactly how it relates to this episode, but I remember we're going to hear the term transwarp quite a few times in Voyager, especially once a certain enemy alien that we haven't seen yet show up. A
Gotcha.
transwarp is a frequent point of discussion. So, yeah, that aspect, I guess, that they're always looking for quicker ways home isn't going to go away, and being able to go faster than they currently are capable isn't going to go away. But
Yeah.
in terms of they're not going to keep testing this engine or this theory because obviously this didn't work. Although I would
Uh,
think you just figure out what went wrong and refine it, but no, like most TV show plots, they just abandoned it after this episode.
mm, like some other things in this episode that we'll get to as we go through.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote as believable mumbo jumbo, but also Neelix. Then, as soon as I wrote that, soon after Neelix had the line, "I have no idea what they just said," which I thought was actually funny from Neelix. I thought that was actually funny.
Honestly, the whole Neelix scene, I was very happy with. He joined the Brain Trust. He had a
Yeah.
decent argument about why
Uh-huh.
he should be able to if he doesn't fully understand the science.
Yeah.
And the humor of him making Torres fetch her own snack was enjoyable.
And
But
I thought her delivery of that line about "I guess I'm getting it myself" was perfect. It was perfectly done as well. I thought she did
yeah,
an excellent job of that as well.
but then Neelix has an idea, and it's a good idea, obviously, it leads to the solution. But where
Mm,
you expect everyone else to have a laugh at his expense, I really did expect them to not give him any credit. Paris gives him a hug, and they're like, "Thanks, Neelix. We really
uh-huh.
appreciate you." Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that they give in and they clue him in, they accept him, they
Uh-huh.
give him credit for his more credit
Yeah.
than he deserves. Apparently, I liked all that. I thought that was
I think
great.
that's
Another good example of well using Neelix.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that was a fun scene, and just the idea of and he's the one who's like, "Hey, I don't know everything about this, but maybe as a he doesn't say as a layperson, but essentially kind of like that. I'm no dummy. I might not know exactly what you're talking about, but then it's still funny when he comes back in the line. I have no idea what they just said. So I'm with you. I enjoyed that scene.
I did get a little hokey when Janeway was talking about, like, you're going to be mentioned along with Orville Wright. First of all, Orville Wright, what's the matter with Wilbur? Why is he not in that
That's a
list?
good question.
Orville Wright, Neil Armstrong, and Zefram Cochrane, names we're
Yeah.
familiar with. Not
Yep.
quite the same thing. Like, Neil Armstrong, don't get me wrong, impressive man. Like, first
Sure.
man to walk on the moon, even though,
Yeah.
he was part of a team and there were multiple astronauts
Right.
on that mission.
That was
So,
what. Yeah.
whatever. But he didn't invent a thing like Orville Wright and
Right.
Zefram Cochrane did. So why
Right.
is Paris is helping invent this drive?
Yes.
I think honestly, Neil Armstrong is the lame duck on this list that doesn't belong, not Tom Paris, and that's weird.
Yeah, I was with you. Again, all credit to Neil Armstrong, but yeah, I thought it was also he wasn't really the pilot. In my mind, Chuck Yeager might have been a better example.
Did Chuck Yeager invent a new engine or a new craft?
He broke the sound barrier. That was his
Right,
big
but
thing.
he was just the pilot, right? He didn't
Yeah.
have a technological breakthrough.
Right.
Somebody
That's
else
fair.
built
Yeah.
the thing. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like the Wright brothers built their own airplane before
Yeah.
there were airplanes.
Mhm.
Zefram Cochrane invented, built, and flew the warp drive.
Yeah.
Tom Paris, with others, but Tom Paris helped design this engine and the steering.
That's fair. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like,
That's a good point.
sorry,
Yeah.
Neil Armstrong, you're like several levels below Tom Paris.
I think that's fair.
But the scene where Janeway comes to Paris and tells him Kim's gonna fly instead.
Yeah.
Because there's a 2% chance of brain hemorrhage.
Yeah.
It was a powerful scene, I thought. I thought it was very well done. I even appreciated Janeway giving in with Paris, like that vulnerability of this is the first time in 10 years I have a life to risk. My caveat here is why not just put a co-pilot in? Because if he does have a brain hemorrhage, then he's not able to communicate back that it succeeded or failed, and there's no way to return the shuttle. So let Kim fly alongside him. I couldn't remember how Janeway became a salamander too, even though I knew that was going to happen. So I was like, oh, does she offer me as co-pilot here? Does she say something? That's what I was waiting for. And it's just like, no, if there's a chance that he won't survive this, you put a second person in the shuttle.
Yeah.
And honestly, Harry Kim's pretty disposable, or if you don't want a senior staff, pick some random ensign. You don't need...
Send our guy Raphael Sbarge out there. I can't think of his character's name, but yeah, I thought the same thing. Like,
Jonas.
why not send two? And I also thought Paris. I was surprised how big Paris's bathrobe was. It seemed like a lot more material than he would usually have on. And then I thought, 49-1. Those aren't bad odds. Those are pretty good odds.
Those are very good odds, and I thought pulling him was it was premature for odds that low. I get Janeway's instinct of protecting him, but I think in normal Starfleet mission, back on Earth, he has the right to make this risk. In this position, being their only their main pilot in a mission where you have to have a good pilot, I agree with Janeway. It wasn't worth the risk, and they shouldn't have let him. Even though I get why she does. It feels like she should have stopped it or he should have never been up for it in the first place because of his position. Like, maybe we'll let Harry Kim, or it will be Jonas in engineering, Michael Jonas in engineering, Raphael Sbarge. But yeah, I don't know. It was disappointing to me that part of it. I'm starting to talk myself out of things that I wasn't paying attention to before. I was very confused when they did the flight and they could still track Tom Paris. Supposedly he's everywhere at once, which I don't know how you track that. Or he's got a very far distance, quickly getting out of their range, but the whole time they're following him, and while he's pulling ahead, they can still track him. And I'm like, no, he would already be so far past you.
Yeah, and I'll take some of the blame for that I didn't work real hard on trying to understand that concept. And I guess in a sense it's I don't know, maybe it's in the infinite diversity, infinite combinations. Maybe there's a callback to that from all the time of Trek. But yeah, I'm with you. I didn't. Again, the mumbo jumbo sounded good, but it also was like, wait a minute, what? How's this working? What are we doing? Yeah, I'm with you.
So Tom Paris mentions that he was everywhere after he wakes up.
Uh,
Everywhere all at once. And he's talking about, I was on the Klingon, I was among the Klingons, I was here, I was there. I'm like, couldn't he give them information about what's going on back on Earth? Might he mention the Dominion or Changelings at this juncture? Like,
I
and he would also know, like, hey, the Changelings are getting ready to attack. Or,
yeah
like, there's so much information he could have, and they don't ever, none of it pays off or goes anywhere. But
no.
my favorite bit of that, and that's why I was enjoying it so much, was the doctor just being so unimpressed about the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because they said it was on the shuttle, and then again, we have no follow up on that, really, right? They're like, oh, the
No.
shuttle got all this information. How that would work, I don't know.
Well, they said the shuttle only got the information from the area it was in because they were going to outfit it with a much bigger computer.
Okay.
But again, if it was everywhere, it wasn't in a specific area, so that doesn't quite make sense. And then Tom Paris' memory loses all that information pretty quickly. So,
When everything goes down. I I was trying to see if everything everywhere all at once was influenced at all by this episode. I'm not finding anything, but
I mean, Tom Paris was eating an everything bagel as he was flying the
it,
shuttle. So,
yeah.
that would have been fun. So the
Yeah.
Paris is very unimpressed about the coffee that's named after him before he tastes it, and I was a little confused by that because while in the beginning it seemed like Neelix's cooking sucked, we've had some recent episodes where Janeway and others were sincerely praising him and saying
Yeah.
what a great job he was doing. And
Uh-huh.
so, did he get bad again? Is it holdover? Is it just the way they rib him? It feels uneven that they like were saying his food was good and now it's not. Torres calls the medical team to the mess hall when Paris collapses. And we don't see anybody come, but I'm like, first of all, it's just the doctor and Kess, right? But then somehow, and this really confused me, after he was dropped off in sickbay, two guys in blue shirts were walking away that must have brought him. Did the doctor
Right.
get more medical staff that we don't know about and haven't heard anything
Right.
about? And I don't think we ever see him again as medical staff. I'm pretty sure it's just the doctor and Kess.
I was gonna say maybe some people are doing double duty, but yeah, maybe there's security guys are also ambulance.
But they were blue, so they had to be science or
Oh, that's
medical.
true. That's true. That's a
So
good
do their
question.
science officers like go do medical duty now? And we just again, I don't
Question.
know.
I thought maybe the Chakotay transcript had maybe a description of them, but no, nothing.
No, it just I it, I bumped on it because I'm like, where did these guys come from, and how come we never see them again?
Mhm.
So Tom Paris says he doesn't trust people who don't cry, and that includes Blonda Torres. It'll be way funnier to you down the road that he
Yeah. Okay.
says he doesn't trust Blonda Torres because she doesn't cry. Way funnier. I definitely knowing things that are coming. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
really. I don't think the writers who were it was Brandon Braga did the teleplay, but the story was by Michael DeLuca, best known for being a producer in the movies Captain Phillips, The Social Network, Moneyball, and Brothers. But he has 8 writing credits as well, and this is his final of his 8, his only Star Trek credit. But yeah, I don't think the writers necessarily were setting anything up for Torres. I just think that it was fun coincidence because of things that happened later. Varys asks Kess for a last kiss. Given everything
Yeah.
they've gone through, even if he's dying, that feels like an overstep to me.
Here's I I went through he doesn't know what I think he's his mind, who knows where it is, whatever. I I think those are two things I would ask for are pepperoni pizza and whoever was around to kiss me.
And
Although I would probably be well, no, at that point he still looks like Paris. He
yeah,
hasn't started,
well,
yeah, so
mostly.
yeah, I
I
would probably still do
I think
that. But
Kess is a completely inappropriate ask, though I get your point that ask for
yeah,
some female
yeah,
attention. So,
yeah,
can you ask the Delaney sisters to come down? Or
right.
Sickbay has a holographic projector, obviously. He can just pick a
There you
holodeck
go.
character.
Yeah. I attributed it to his mind being in many different places and all that stuff. So and at first I thought, oh, did her kiss save him? What is this like
Huh,
let me just like my camera here.
that would be a wild alternate episode.
Yeah, I was like, and I thought when she did it, it was very sweet and innocent, which made it a little better to me.
Well, yeah, it was a
Although,
kiss on the cheek. It wasn't a romantic kiss.
yeah, exactly. And I just thought it was I mean, Cass is nothing if not empathetic, and so I did like it when it finally happened. And but
Well, he
yeah,
was already dead at that point, so you
well,
didn't get to
yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah. But then he came back to life. So I
Right.
thought it was like a Sleeping Beauty kind of thing or whatever.
He wouldn't remember that kiss, right? Because he was brain dead at the time. But
Right. Yeah.
interesting Sleeping Beauty. That would be one way to go with this, where she ends up with Paris instead of Neelix. I, to me, my alternate episode is not the kiss like means some bad
Yeah.
or big romantic thing. I thought
Uh-huh.
it was more he mutates into a superhero and then stays that way. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Not a
Well, there you
Q,
go.
but like have some type
Yeah.
of power of
Yeah.
evolution. I would like that
Uh-huh.
alternate episode.
Yeah, and I wondered if it was going to go anywhere. Before all that, before things turned bad, Paris mentions, oh, what I remember most about being a kid are the times I spent in my room crying. Then he mentions he lost his virginity in that room, 17. Parents were away for the weekend. And the doctor says, I'll note that in your medical file, which I thought was, that made me laugh too. So at this point, we're
Doctor
still having fun. Yeah.
Doctor has not had much to do lately, but he is pitch perfect in this episode. Uh,
Yes.
where he tells Kess that we got to do an autopsy in the morning. That was, he says it in a sympathetic way. He doesn't say it in a like heartless, cold way. I do
Yeah.
think he should have offered to let her out of it, but I don't think ill of him for not offering to let her out of it because she is training and this is part of everything.
Right.
And he
Right.
wouldn't, and he's gonna, she's gonna know everybody on the ship, so you got to be prepared.
They're in space. They're doing dangerous things, obviously, like breaking warp 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think that I like that scene as well because even though I was 99.9% sure Paris was going to survive, I was still like I was able to get myself into the mind space of he's dead, and or at least where those guys were with it, and so I thought that was I like that I like that scene and that delivery as well.
Before he dies, he talks a lot about his father, and the other thing he wants besides a kiss is his father to know that like he amounted to something and did something great and has been accepted and has got
Hmm.
reputation back. This isn't the first time he's mentioned his father, who we know is an admiral, Admiral Owen Paris, who
Admiral.
Janeway served
Yep.
under at some point. We
Hmm.
know about all of that. His father will become an ongoing, larger presence in Paris's like the way he thinks about things and stuff.
Hmm.
We haven't gotten to see him or know him at all, but it stood out to me because I know his father's going to be somebody that matters. So I liked that more than Riker's dad, who showed up one episode and then just disappeared, and we
Yeah.
never hear about Kyle Riker like at all. It's more than that.
So there's at least one thing that continues after this episode. We duck in and see Jonas. I think that might be right after the autopsy conversation. Oh no, that's
Sending
before he
the
even
data
died.
to Reddick, who's not
Yeah,
the Kazon that's with Seska. That's the other Kazon. That's Neelix's friend.
yeah. And I thought he was really thirsty. He's like, Reddick's like, he survived, and Jonas like, in a matter of speaking, it's all in the file. This should prove my worth to you, Reddick. I'm like, man, really thirsty, Jonas. You're really like, come on, get me off this ship.
Yeah, and we didn't get enough setup for that, or I
No,
was understanding why we had the one episode and the
yeah,
motivations he had in
yeah,
that episode made sense, but getting to,
mhm,
it's such a leap for him.
yeah,
And I know Jonas doesn't matter as a character
right,
beyond this plot, so it's
yeah,
like, whatever. But he's going to be in a bunch of episodes, as we talked about, and
right.
yeah, obviously. Before that, when Paris wakes back up, he has a second heart, which I was like, so he's now a Time Lord, like the Doctor from Doctor Who?
Oh, okay, yeah.
And now he wants to mutate and becomes a paranoid and like chews Janeway out and then apologizes, but the apology ends up being a lie. And he's just like completely psycho. And I really had a hard time figuring out at that point where he stood. But that did
Uh-huh.
make sense to me as a like plot point that this guy's totally off of it and he's deteriorating and all that. We watch
I
his escape on the screen. They didn't bother to make anything of him like stealing a shuttle and flying out and all that. Just
right.
that's a budget thing, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I think. Oh, yeah. Before that, and again, this gets into a little bit of the horror thing. Well, this isn't horror, the first part of this, but this does get to why they won makeup. But I love the pulsing brain part of his brain. I don't know if you noticed that. It was
Yeah.
kind of that was really cool. And then the tongue thing, it could have been even grosser than it was, obviously, but it was network TV in the 90s. But
Zoe didn't take that very well. My 8-year-old did
I
not
didn't either.
appreciate that stuff.
I didn't either.
But did
But
you like Robert Duck McNeil's attempt to talk without a tongue later? He
yeah,
was
I
actually
did.
more understandable than he should have been, but I liked it. It
Yeah.
was fun.
Yeah. And then, so yeah, he escapes in the shuttle in that kind of that new form. I don't understand. I guess, I guess all those buttons are, they're all the controls are very touch sensitive. So I guess if you're in the area, you don't have to be particular. I don't know, but
Apparently, he still has all his memory and stuff. Like, he didn't lose his skills.
right, that part I believe. But I just thought he had mittens for hands instead of fingers.
That's
But
true. But he is the best pilot, so,
this is true.
Do they have name tags on the phasers? Because Janeway's phaser gets dropped, and then Tuvok radios the bridge, and he's like, I found the captain's phaser.
Oh, I did. Yeah, that's a. Maybe everybody else's were accounted for. They had them on them.
Maybe. Well, I assume that there is like some type of serial number, and it's believable that Tuvok
Yeah.
may have the captain's phaser serial number memorized, or maybe they just took a second to scan the QR code on the side of the phaser and look up whose it
Mhm.
was. That would make sense if you found a random phaser just like laying around. It took them 3 days to reach the shuttle, so the shuttle that could be anywhere just happened to be 3 days away. That's yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of that sensor magic we talk about. Like,
hmm
you know, sometimes they can pick up this, sometimes they can't, sometimes they can.
So you
And
did
for
say
this,
you researched the evolution part of it. Were there scientists that said there was any believability? Like,
yeah, let me.
was this pretty much based that we could eventually become amphibians, or was that just
Yeah,
because I
so
guess we
he
evolved from
said,
fish and microbes and stuff. So
I'll just give you what our guy Muhammad A.F. Noor just in Live Long and Evolve, what Star Trek can teach us about genetics, evolution, life on other worlds. He saw extreme mutation is more likely to result in cancers or death than transmutation. Although, I mean, it feels like he kind of went through cancer and death. The genetic mutations were too repeatable and the speed of change was remarkably fast. The book suggests some of these problems may be allayed very slightly if the changes were, and I don't know what this word means, epigenetic rather than genetic. But the premise is an extreme stretch. Oh, wait. Epigenetic is the study of changes in gene expression that occur without altering the DNA sequence.
yeah, I thought we talked
Um,
about that in the Kess episode,
yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Elogium.
He does say, who's to say space newts don't have some inconceivable advanced consciousness beyond our wildest dreams? And who knows how we'd evolve if we were simultaneously at all points in space? So, yeah, some things we can't dive into quite as deep
Sure.
as far as
So
the quote unquote science here.
well,
Yeah.
also they evolved millions of years, and if you think about humans millions of years ago, we didn't resemble anything. We weren't even primates yet,
Right.
I don't think. Like,
Yeah. Right.
so
Yeah.
why? So these amphibian creatures are supposed to be super, super evolved from where we are now, and yet
Hmm.
they're naked and just laying there on the shore. That's the part that
Right.
didn't make sense to me. Like, I could buy that we morph into some type of amphibian that's comfortable on land and water. I don't buy that it felt like a de-evolution, not an evolution.
Right. 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 Because I was like, well, what are they doing? Just hanging out.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like, yeah, I'm with you, and not to to disparage lizards, but yeah, I feel like it's devolving too, or maybe they're lizards that can talk,
They didn't, I
or
mean, they could communicate with each other, perhaps. They clearly
right,
didn't have English, but
yeah,
that doesn't, they weren't trying to build anything. They weren't trying to invent anything. They weren't trying to do
no,
anything. They just had
no,
babies and were laying there. And
yeah,
then Tuvok and them didn't even ask questions. They just shot them.
right, and that so well, no, we met. So my favorite of the memes, and there's many Threshold Day memes out there. And I don't know what, I'm sure this is from a future episode. It's essentially it's 4 panels, but it's Janeway bringing a cake to Tuvok. Happy anniversary. Tuvok says, "I'm unsure what this anniversary is commemorating," and she says, "The day you stunned me and left my babies on a swamp planet."
That's a good one.
So,
Yeah, the
but yeah,
leaving
and
the
of course,
babies seems pretty controversial too. I really don't feel like there's any excuse for that.
yeah,
They would need to
um,
they would want to study them at the very least.
right. And somebody somewhere said that as they were like, I thought I read that somewhere. They were just like, well, why wouldn't they, you know, least try, or and we never hear about those babies again. They're never revisited.
Now there's some super advanced humans on some planet in the Delta Quadrant. It just doesn't. That part did not add
Right?
up.
Yeah, that's a bummer of an ending.
Oh, there were
Well,
actually several more. I've got several other notes past that. I mean, I
I was
guess
going to
it's
say
pretty close to it, but
we're not quite to the ending yet, which because I think the actual ending of the episode I like. That part of it I did not like. So.
well, but even in this scene, I love Chakotay being like, "How am I going to write this up in a log?" And Tuvok saying, "I look forward to reading it."
Yeah,
That was so good.
there are definitely some laughs in here too. I mean, like they're definitely acknowledging, like,
Those are Braun and
okay, this
Braga
is weird.
lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He actually for his and maybe this is just his reaction to some of the people who really disliked it, but he called it a real stinker.
Yeah.
Brandon Braga called it a real stinker.
He just did a rewrite on it. He didn't write it.
But there is Den of Geek, they included on an episode for binge watching that included a roadmap of episodes that, although not typically achieving high ratings, whether I think for worth rather than people watching, were still entertaining. So I think that's actually a good assessment of the episode. Like, check it out. I don't know if you're going to think it's great, but I don't think you're going to be like, well, I got bored. I mean, I didn't get bored in this episode. I can assure you of that.
When did Braun and Braga say that he didn't like the episode? I'm just curious.
There's no citation on it. Oh, wait, hang on. There it is.
Well, I'm asking because there was a TV show that aired in the fall of 2005. So this was after Enterprise, because Braun and Braga will go on to work on Enterprise. That Braun and Braga created called Threshold. And I remember watching it, and it was not good. This was better than that. So I also question him naming that show Threshold if this already had a reputation. It did star Carla Gugino, so that had it going for it. She was the main character. Also starred Brett Spiner, Peter Dinklage, and Charles Dutton. Few people that I like. But I remember thinking it wasn't very good. And the premise was Carla was a high-level government crisis management who created contingency plans for emergencies. But then the crew of a naval vessel, U.S. naval vessel, encounters a UFO. Many crew members die horribly, some escape, and the threshold protocol that she developed is activated. And it's about aliens attempting to rewrite the DNA of the human race and alter body chemistry. That is a show Braun and Braga created. So if he did not like this episode, I don't know how we go from that
Interesting.
Unless after that, that's why I'm guessing your interview that you're mentioning him calling it crap might have been after that he created the show Threshold and it failed. Because I feel like he might have had a different view for the 10 years leading up to Threshold.
It's from a German book from 2009. I'll give you the English translation. Detours into the Past, Star Trek and Greco-Roman Antiquity. That's where that's the way they attribute the quote from Brandon Braga called it, quote unquote, a real stinker. Wow.
It does look like, even though Threshold was canceled after 13 episodes, they altered the series finale during filming so that it had an ending. So if you're curious, it's a 13-episode complete series. But it was a CBS show in the fall of 2005.
I'm amazed the world that this episode has opened up while just researching it, quote unquote.
I mean, honestly, I'm losing respect for the episodes we talk about it, but I like some of the things the alternate pathways we've gone down.
Yeah. And I was hoping there was an actual connection to everything everywhere all at once, but and this is AI, so who knows? There may be some other. It probably would involve deeper examination. They just mentioned, well, Michelle Yeoh was in both Star Treks, and alternate universes and all that jazz. So
I was just going to mention that Michelle Yeoh was also. What's his name? Kunyi, whatever. Short Round.
Oh yeah.
He was a production assistant on this episode.
Oh, really? No, you got me. It does actually. This is a pretty good break. In the Star Trek: The Next Generation technodomain of Warp 10 is described as theoretical limit where a vessel would exist at every point in the universe simultaneously, which is a direct thematic parallel to the title and concept of everything everywhere all at once. So
Okay. But my last couple
yeah,
notes are about the actual ending of this episode.
yes,
And yeah, Janeway joking. I did appreciate when Paris apologizes to her for having the kids, and she's like, "How do you know it wasn't my idea?" I loved that because I liked giving her the agency. And also,
yes,
if they're advanced species, they should both have a say. I don't know. They clearly
right.
don't remember what happened, but
Yes, yeah. Which kind of gives everyone an out here, but yeah, I still think it's good talk. And yeah, specifically your point when she says, "What makes you think it was your idea?" And I guess we can see why he would think it was his idea, even not knowing whether it was or not. I feel
well,
like they're both saying, good game out there."
I know
But
there's been praise for that Janeway line in this episode helping make it less creepy and whatever because
yeah,
his line is the implication that he like assaulted her against her will. So,
yeah. Oh, and it's delivered. I mean, I shouldn't say it's delivered that way, but it's written that way for sure. Yeah, it comes across that way, I should say.
and that
Um,
saves that absolutely saves it. Her.
but I have I don't know if that goes on. And well, these are lizards we don't know, or
Right.
they look like kimono dragons to me. And
Just a
for a
little
couple
bit. I
minutes,
think they just look like giant salamanders, but not giant enough
yeah,
because they
yeah,
shrank once they evolved. They
right.
were like a big dog, which is big for a salamander, but Paris didn't show signs of shrinking before this. I like that
Not
Janeway gave him a commendation. I think he deserved it, even if he didn't
yeah,
work out.
yeah,
And I really liked Paris's end of his emotional story that I really need
yeah,
to stop worrying about what other people think of me and start worrying about
mhm,
what myself because it's very clear that he holds more of a grudge against himself than anyone else on board does.
yeah, yeah. And there was a I thought that was good too. And there actually one of the I don't know, it wasn't a meme, but one of the conversations I saw out there about this episode was, well, good. Paris got past his daddy issues because he just created three kids that are gonna have real daddy issues and abandonment issues.
I
So
mean, yeah. Yeah. I think we should have an episode where Paris's father goes to the Delta Quadrant and looks for his grandchildren. Ooh, now I
yeah,
want them to show up in Starfleet Academy. Now I
right. I
want them in
mean,
the future timeline, like to learn the
I
species.
right. I feel like it's like Kirk at the end of a piece of the action talked about if we come back here, they're going to be looking for a piece of our action. It's just
Hmm.
that idea that doesn't happen a lot, and when it does, Rathacon usually doesn't turn out well. It's like we'll come back in a little while. There was, and I'll have to try and find the episode, but apparently there is a lower decks reference to this where
Yes,
you
there
see,
is.
yeah, our cyborg carrying two big
I
salamanders.
remember that.
So
I remember that
I,
joke. That was a good one.
I I'll get that now. My alternate episode is Paris and Janeway actually have a encounter in their human forms and
Hmm.
dealing with the aftermath of that as adults, but also as fellow crew members, and that they've got 75 million whatever 75 light years to go to deal with the aftermath or whatever. Not necessarily that whole time, but how that would work. Because I think that would actually, essentially it's about last night in space, I guess, but some way. It would all depend on how you got there and all that. But I think that would be an interesting. And again, we've talked about we got a long way to go here, so at some point, it might be natural. And I think it was earlier in an early episode where Janeway the conversation of, well, we're going to have to start having kids if they were going to make it.
They did, and I think again, I think they should have taken all the babies with them, but at least one. But that would have been the beginning of this series. They were really developing the Janeway Paris
Hmm.
relationship, and we haven't revisited it in season 2 like at
Yeah.
all. And so it would have been cool if they kept the babies and they were an ongoing concern, and Janeway
Uh-huh.
and Paris bonded over it. I'm not saying I want
Yeah.
a romantic plot with them. I don't. I don't think
Right.
that would
Right.
work. But I would like to see them co-parent and figure and be connected by this scientific thing that ties them, like almost like family or almost like ex-spouses. I don't know how you exactly make the
That's
dynamic, but I think it would be really interesting.
that's kind of where with my alternate episode, that's kind of where I was thinking of, like, I guess it's almost like, shoot, that Seth Rogen knocked up. It makes but
Ah,
a
yes,
smart.
yes.
I shouldn't say a smarter version. One, I've never seen it. Two, I bet it's hilarious. But
That was funny.
along, but along those lines of like, oh crap, this happened. and then them dealing with it. And I feel like to your point, they probably wouldn't be the best romantic couple, but maybe they would be, but probably not. And it's not something I'm like, we should go that way. I think they're both very attractive people, but I don't know if they should be together and all that kind of stuff. But
I
just
think
the
he's not
concept
good
of
enough for her. He's not good enough for her.
the
Seriously,
concept
like
of
I'm not.
what. But I think that's what makes it interesting for me is just in this very specific alternate episode idea, alternate universe, alternate episode idea.
I
Um,
think I just
I'm
ship Janeway Chakotay too hard.
I was gonna say I'm still shipping Paris and Kess, even though I know it's not gonna happen. So
That's not going to happen now. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with my dad always talking about It's a Wonderful Life. The uncle not losing the money and believe maybe it'll change this time I watch. But yeah, I don't have it. Those are all my notes. So I don't know. You may have
Mine too. At this point, I think we're about halfway through Kessa's tenure on the show. So
Oh yeah,
yeah,
she leaves season 4, right? Yeah.
early, like the beginning of season 4. She carries
Yeah.
over a few episodes, but not very long.
Okay.
So I did appreciate that. Like it's not just season finale and she disappears and she's gone. She carries
Yeah.
over a little bit. There's some overlap with the character that replaces her, 7 of 9. There's some overlap between them. And that's nice. I appreciate that. Yeah, let's get to the rankings.
Yeah.
Who was your annoyance this week?
Jonas. I struggled to find an annoyance. I mean, I think there's plenty of things to be annoyed with, and I couldn't settle on one. So I just wanted Jonas and his thirstiness.
I also struggled with this one, but I went with Mutant Tom when he was like yelling at Janeway and then apologizing and then lying. I
Yeah.
did not like that version of Tom Paris.
Mhm.
I mean, but the rest of it, like being introspective and everything, I thought was really good. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was yeah. Who was are you having a drink with?
Paris. Yeah.
I'm gonna have a drink with the doctor because he was just I loved him in this episode. I thought it was while he wasn't front and center, this was a really, really, really good doctor episode.
So that's where I landed with my inspiring. I struggled between Paris and the Doctor because I thought the Doctor was great too, but Paris went through it and came out a better person, I think. But I thought the Doctor was awesome too. Just one other note on that while we're in the sick bay, I thought our girl who plays Cass. How do I not know this?
Jennifer Lane.
Jennifer Lean.
Lean.
Yeah, her reactions every time something changed with Paris in the sick bay, I thought were like, that's the way a human that's the way a regular person would react. And I thought they were perfect. She was just her face, like not screaming or anything, just her facial reactions I thought were great.
She is good in this role, even though I don't like the character. But
Yeah.
everybody else here is like very experienced actors, and she's like 19,
Mhm.
so
Yeah,
she would be
yeah,
a little
yeah,
more
yeah.
authentic if she's not
Yeah.
trying too hard, just
Yeah.
because. Just
Yeah.
because she won't overthink it as much as the people. I would hope.
Oh, and I thought I wanted to say the title was generic at first, but it really wasn't. Like, I mean, obviously
No.
they said it a million times. It was very, very accurate and on the
Well, they
money.
said it before the opening credits. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So you chose Paris as your inspiring.
Yeah,
I went with Neelix. Just that brilliant
yeah, yeah,
breakthrough.
yeah.
And just anybody can end up helping solve the major stuff that goes down.
Mhm.
Ranking the episode, I will say my opinion has gone down a bit as we talked. I still don't think it belongs at the very bottom of the season, but there were
Definitely not the
more.
worst episode I've ever watched either.
I think I really connected with some of the emotional arcs of this episode, especially Paris, how
Sure.
down on himself he was, and
Mhm.
how hard he was trying for redemption and what he realized about himself at the end. And like I said, I love the Doctor plot. I love the Neelix plot. I know they're minor, but I loved them.
Yeah,
When we pick apart the logic of the episode, it kind of falls apart pretty quick. So, yeah, let's start somewhere in the middle-ish. Let's start with Prototype, because that's another, like, new technology. It was the robot, but it's still another new technology.
hmm
I think I might go above it.
Let's see. Oh yeah, that's someone with the. Is that our lowest one right now?
No, I'm starting in the middle.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'd go with you on that one.
Well, above that's Maneuvers. That's where Seska kidnaps Chakotay and impregnates herself, so I don't think we can go above that.
Yeah, yeah.
We found that one real quick. So that would put it as number 7 of 15. So right smack dab in the middle. So for those who say this is the worst episode of Voyager ever, we have it in the smack dab in the middle of season 2 so far. This week, Deep Space Nine returned to grace. Dukat returned, stripped of his prestige, to escort Kira to a Cardassian conference about the Dominion, but an attack by a Klingon raider may give Dukat a chance to redeem himself in the eyes of his government. Until then, live long.
In your own skin, or maybe other skin, but live long and prosper.
It's All Been Done presents
Who's Got the Time?